Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Cood. I'm reviewing chapter 11 in Skinner's book today. So I read this chapter probably at least 5 times trying to make sure I understood everything. It was difficult for me. I just think my brain is fried. But hopefully I grasped it all. Let's go over what Skinner talked about. I do have my notes on the screen in front of me, so I will try to make sure not to look away from the camera too much. If my eyes are everywhere, I apologize for that. Sorry in advance and everything. I'm not the best on camera. Anyway, so chapter 11 of About Behaviorism is about self and others. It starts off with saying the person is a human organism. To an anatomist, they will always be an organism, but to a person who studies behavioral analysis, that organism becomes a person with behavior. He then continues on saying that complex contingencies is what helps create our complex repertoire. This means that our behavior is based off of our experiences and our environment. Could be cultures as well. If we live in a different country or a different culture, our environment will be different, therefore our behavior is different than others who might live in a different country than us. Skinner says that a person is a locus. There is not another person exactly like them or exactly like us unless we have an identical twin. No other person has their genes or their personal history, which means no one else will have the same exact behavior as them. Skinner then goes into talking about knowing oneself. He talks about how we ourselves are the only ones who truly know how we will react or behave in certain situations. Someone might think that they know, but we obviously know for ourselves how we will react. He gives the example of when we become upset with ourselves because we didn't do something correctly or we didn't do it the way we wanted to. An example would be we failed a test, we missed a shot in a game. I think the book gave an example of a baseball game or something like that. So just those types of examples is what we could get upset about. And a part of us gets mad at ourselves for not doing the right thing or not succeeding at what we set out to do. Skinner then continues on in this chapter going into knowing another person. This section talks about knowing another person by how they feel or react to something. An example he gives is how a person can act one way but feel another, such as an actor who has to pretend to be sad or mad on the set for a movie or a TV show, when in reality they might be happy. I believe another example Skinner gives is when someone acts brave, but in reality they are really feeling scared. Continuing on with the section of knowing another person, Skinner mentions how someone might convey or communicate to others how they are feeling. Conveying would be to transport or transmit our feelings, whereas communicating them to others is to make them common between all those who are involved in the conversation. If we try to communicate how we are feeling to someone else, we might use specific techniques to convey and or communicate our feelings. One way we might do this is by describing a situation that creates a similar feeling to help the listener empathize better and understand what the speaker is truly feeling. So if we didn't experience that specific situation or that specific feeling, for example, it could be you lost a loved one, you lost a significant other. Not everyone has experienced that, and so they don't truly know how that person is feeling losing someone so close to them. So they might be able to describe a certain situation to help the listener empathize with the speaker better and understand what they're truly feeling. That's the example that popped into my head when I read that. The chapter moves into managing oneself or self-management. Skinner says that the self-management is represented as the direct manipulation of feelings and states of mind. What I got from this was that self-management is essentially how a person does not change their behavior per se, but they change the environment around them so they do not experience that same behavior. Instead of, teaching themselves to change the behavior, they just remove themselves from the environment or change the environment. For example, if you have friends who are a bad influence on you and something happens, you aren't going to hang out with those friends anymore. Another example I put in here was If you're working out and you pull a muscle and start to feel intense pain, you don't keep going back to the gym to work out constantly and to constantly feel that pain. You're going to stop. You're going to change and stay home or do a different workout that doesn't cause you pain wherever the pain's at, and you'll do that until the pain is gone. Then you might go back to that environment again. The book mentions self-management techniques and lists a couple of examples for them. One of the examples is in the book, is a person who was punished for drinking. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied now. Who was punished for drinking, whether that's drinking and driving or drinking, underage drinking. We don't know, it just mentions drinking. But they could be punished for whatever the situation calls for, and they were punished because they were drinking. The next time they're tempted to drink, they will use self-management techniques and decide either not to drink, or they'll use the technique to remove them from that environment altogether, and not put themselves in a situation to have that type of pressure of drinking. Now that Skinner has talked about managing oneself, he then goes into how it is possible to manage another person. He lists 7 different ways, including the following: operant conditioning, which is positive or negative contingencies to change behavior, thoughts, actions, etc. Describing contingencies, describing the behavior. An example would be if you see a stop sign or a red light telling you to stop, you're going to stop. If you don't do it, then you can get hurt in a car crash or potentially hit someone if they're crossing the street, bicyclist, pedestrian, even a dog maybe, because you failed to follow the stop sign and, because you failed to follow the rule of stopping at a stop sign or a stoplight. Emotional and motivational measures is another one. Teaching, for example, teachers will arrange contingencies to help students acquire useful behavior for the future. So what they think students might go through, they'll create contingencies for them so they learn how to behave or react to those possible situations. Helping, which could be advising a patient on contingencies that can help them live a more sustainable life. Governing, such as following the laws and rules to avoid punishment for breaking them. And entertaining is the last one of the, different ways to manage another person. I lost my train of thought, sorry. So entertaining, I think in the book it gave an example of you hear a song or see a picture, you like that picture, you're going to go to the store. I put in here, if you see a movie, you're going to go to the store and buy the movie or buy the DVD. Basically music, books, movies, etc. are a form of reinforcement. Okay, so now that that's basically about the chapter, the question that I have for you today might be a little far-fetched, but I'm curious. Do you think there are additional techniques of self-management and managing others that are not listed in the book? If so, what are they? Additionally, what do you think is the most effective technique to manage others and why? Hopefully that isn't too much, and hopefully we can get a good discussion on it in great detail. Let me know if you have any additional thoughts on this chapter as well, that you might have or have taken from this chapter's readings. I'm interested in hearing more from others about their overall thoughts to help me and everyone else understand. Hopefully I grasped enough of that to basically outline the chapter as well as possible. Again, let me know all your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching this video of me going over the chapter 11. Yeah, I look forward to discussing it with you guys, and sorry if I got a little tongue-tied there, but thank you so much, and I look forward to discussing. Bye.